The air in the changing room smelled of concrete and testosterone and the particular breed of arrogance that comes from men who've never truly been tested. Master Chief Kira Ashford stood perfectly still as Major Garrett. Thorne's hands closed around her throat. His grip was textbook, thumbs positioned on the trachea, fingers finding the carotid arteries with the practiced precision of a man who'd done this before. 40 pounds of pressure, maybe 45, enough to restrict airflow, enough to make a
This
point.
footage shows the critical
Kira's
moments
heart
before
rate
the
didn't
incident.
change.
Notice the movement here.
62
Can you
beats
zoom
per
in on that
minute.
area? I see
The
something
same
unusual.
rhythm it had maintained through 21 years of combat operations, through firefights in Fallujah and ambushes in the Hindu Kush. Through the night, her husband's casket came home draped in a flag she'd spent 2 decades defending. 62, steady as a metronome. Her eyes flickered once to the security camera mounted in the northeast corner. Red light blinking. Sony HDC 2400. Recording in 1080p to the central server. Timestamp running, evidence accumulating. She looked back at Garrett. "Major," she said. Her voice was calm, level, almost gentle. "Cameras recording. Article 128, aggravated assault. You sure about this?" Garrett's face was 6 inches from hers. She could smell the whiskey on his breath, see the bloodshot capillaries in his eyes. Read the 20 different kinds of rage written in the tight lines around his mouth. "I don't give a damn about cameras," he snarled. "I care about washed-up relics like you taking up space real operators could use." His fingers tightened. Kira's expression didn't change. Behind Garrett, Captain Reed Sutherland shifted his weight, uncomfortable, uncertain. His eyes kept darting to the camera, to Kira's face, to the door, looking for an exit that didn't exist. Sergeant Liam Briggs stood with his arms crossed, watching, waiting to see how this would end. None of them understood what was about to happen. How could they? They didn't know that the woman Garrett was choking had killed 189 enemy combatants across 4 continents, that her operational call sign was Wraith, that the last man who had put his hands on her throat had died 3 seconds later with a broken larynx in a compound outside Mosul. They didn't know, but they were about to learn. Let's stop right here, because what happened in the next 2.3 seconds would shatter everything Major Garrett Thorne thought he knew about war, about skill, about the quiet woman he'd just made the worst mistake of his military career, attacking. But to understand that moment, you need to understand how it began. 48 hours earlier, Forward Operating Base Sentinel squatted in the Mojave Desert like a scar on the landscape, 15 miles north of 29 Palms, population 847. A mix of Army Rangers, Navy advisors, civilian contractors, and the particular species of warrior who volunteered for the jobs nobody else wanted. The temperature at 0900 hours was already kissing 100 degrees. The unmarked Humvee that brought Kira Ashford to the main gate was an ML-152 armored variant. Tan paint faded to the color of old bone. Desert dust thick enough to write your name in. The driver was a specialist who looked about 19 and didn't ask questions. Smart kid. Kira sat in the back with her duffel bag and watched the landscape roll past. Scrub brush. The occasional Joshua tree standing sentinel against a sky so blue it hurt to look at. She'd seen worse deployments. The gate guard checked her ID 3 times, scanned it twice, made a phone call, finally waved them through with the expression of a man who'd just been told his job was above his pay grade. Also smart. The Humvee dropped her at the admin building, white concrete block. Solar panels on the roof, American flag hanging limp in the still morning air. "Master Chief," the driver was looking at her in the rearview mirror. "You need help with your gear." "I got it, specialist, thank you." She stepped out into the heat, shouldered the duffel, walked toward the building with the same economical stride she'd used for 24 years. Not fast, not slow, just efficient. The kind of movement that covered ground without wasting energy. A lesson learned from carrying 100-pound rucks through mountains where every extra step could kill you. The duffel weighed 42 pounds. She knew because she'd weighed it that morning. She weighed everything, measured everything, calculated everything. It was the only way to stay alive in a profession where carelessness was measured in body bags. Inside the admin building was 15 degrees cooler and smelled of paper and floor wax and burnt coffee. The duty sergeant looked up from his computer, saw her rank, stood up fast enough that his chair rolled backward. "Master Chief, General Mitchell's expecting you, 2nd floor, last door on the right." "Thank you, Sergeant." She took the stairs. Habit. Always take the stairs. Know your exits. Know your escape routes. Never trap yourself in an elevator if you can help it. The second floor hallway was lined with photographs, combat deployments, unit ceremonies, faces young and old staring out from behind glass, some of them dead now, some of them retired, some of them still out there, still fighting, still bleeding for a country that barely remembered their names. Kira didn't look at the photos. She'd been in enough of them. General Robert Mitchell's office was at the end of the hall, door open, the man himself sitting behind a desk covered in reports and maps and the accumulated debris of command. He looked up when she knocked. "Master Chief Ashford, come in. Close the door." She did, stood at attention. Mitchell was 58, Gulf War veteran, the kind of officer who'd earned his stars the hard way. Leading from the front when leading from the front could get you killed. He had a face like weathered leather and eyes that had seen too much. Those eyes were studying her now. "At ease, Master Chief. Take a seat." She sat, spine straight, hands folded in her lap, the picture of military bearing. Mitchell leaned back in his chair. It creaked under his weight. "Your file," he said, "is 87 pages long and 90% redacted. That's the thinnest piece of documentation I've seen in 37 years of service masquerading as the thickest." Kira said nothing. "Technical advisor, communications systems integration." He snorted. "That's the cover story they gave you." "That's my assignment, sir." "Horse shit." Mitchell's voice was flat. "I know DevGru when I see it, Master Chief. Hell, I worked with your people in 91. Desert Storm. Best damn operators I ever saw." A pause. The air conditioning hummed. Outside, someone was shouting cadence, the rhythmic sound of soldiers running. "What's the real mission?" Mitchell asked. Kira met his eyes, made a decision. This man had earned the truth. "Penetration testing, sir. Base security. I find the holes. I report them. 18 months, then I'm done, for good this time." Mitchell nodded slowly. "Your choice to come back." "No, sir. Title 10 Special Directive. JSOC requested." I accepted. "Why, you'd earned your retirement." "Clean separation." "Why come back?" Kira's jaw tightened, almost imperceptibly, but Mitchell saw it. "My daughter, sir, Bryn, she's at West Point. Plebe year. I took this assignment because it's stateside. No deployments, no combat. I can be a phone call away if she needs me. 18 months, then I'm out. I'm going to teach civilians how to scuba dive somewhere quiet and never wear a uniform again." Mitchell's expression softened, just a fraction. "Your husband, Captain Nathaniel Ashford, Helmand Province 2020. I read about that. I'm sorry." "Thank you, sir. He was the best man I ever knew." The silence that followed held weight, the kind of weight that comes from understanding, from shared loss, from the knowledge that some conversations don't need more words. Finally, Mitchell pulled out a folder, slid it across the desk. "Your quarters, your credentials, your cover stays intact. As far as anyone here knows, you're exactly what your file says. A Master Chief doing technical work. Nobody needs to know different." "Understood, sir." "One more thing, Ashford." "Sir, this is an Army base, Rangers mostly. Good men, but young, peacetime arrogant. Some of them might not take kindly to a Navy advisor, especially one who outranks them and won't tell them why. I can handle Army Rangers, sir. I've worked with worse." Mitchell almost smiled. "I bet you have." "Dismissed, Master Chief." She stood, saluted, turned to leave. "Ashford." She stopped, looked back. "Welcome home." Her quarters were standard military, 8 by 10 feet, metal bunk, metal desk, metal locker, a window that looked out over the training grounds. Spartan, functional, exactly what she'd expected. She dropped her duffel on the bunk and began to unpack. Everything in its place, everything accounted for. 30 years of military life had taught her that chaos was the enemy. Order was survival. First the uniforms, folded with creases sharp enough to cut, stacked in the locker with mathematical precision. Then the personal items. These she handled more carefully. The rifle cleaning kit came out of its protective case like a holy relic. Components for the M4A5 she'd carried for 8 years. Macmillan stock, Schmidt and Bender scope. The tools to maintain the weapon that had served her through over 100 missions. She set it on the desk, ran her fingers over the gun oil and bore brushes. The ritual of maintenance. The meditation of a sniper. Next, the photograph. Nathaniel Ashford smiled at her from behind the glass, 35 years old in the picture. Dress blues, that crooked grin that had made her fall in love with him during Hell Week when they were both too exhausted to remember their own names. She placed the frame on the desk, centered it exactly. "Hey, baby," she whispered. "Made it. 18 months, then I'm with Bryn full-time. I promise." Those tags came next. His name, his service number, his blood type, B positive. The metal cool and smooth under her fingers. She hung them from the bedpost where she could see them, where they could watch over her. The challenge coin was next. DevGru Trident, Red Squadron, 2003 to 2021. The years of her life that had mattered most and cost the most. The years that had forged her into something harder than steel and more fragile than glass. She set it next to Nathaniel's photo. Then she opened her notebook. Leather, worn. The cover soft from being carried in cargo pockets through 42 countries. She opened it to the inside cover. 189 small notches cut into the leather with a Ka-bar knife, one for each confirmed kill. 189 human beings who'd woken up on their last morning not knowing that today was the day Kira Ashford would put a bullet through their centered mass from 800 meters away. She didn't feel guilt about the notches. She felt responsibility. Each one had been necessary. Each one had saved American lives. Each one had been documented, verified, and approved through the chain of command. But she remembered them. Every single one. The notebook stayed open on the desk, a reminder, a record, a warning to herself that violence was easy and forgetting was dangerous. She turned to the first page. The first entry, written in younger handwriting, shakier, less certain. March 21st, 2003. Colonel Marcus Thorne. I promised. I failed. She sat on the bunk, checked her watch. 08:20 hours. Time to start work. Time to become the person the file claimed she was. Technical advisor. Nobody special. Just another sailor punching a clock. The chow hall at Phoebe Sentinel was institutional cafeteria architecture at its finest. Long tables, plastic chairs, fluorescent lights that turned everyone's skin the color of old dough. The smell of overcooked eggs and burned coffee and industrial cleaning solution. Kira walked through the serving line at Euro 700 the next morning. Oatmeal, black coffee, a banana, 37 grams of protein, calculated hydration. The diet of someone who treated their body like a weapon that needed proper maintenance. She found an empty table in the corner, sat with her back to the wall. Old habit, always watch the exits, always have an escape route. The room was maybe half full, early morning shift, the soldiers who had actual jobs to do instead of sleeping in until formation. She ate methodically. Oatmeal, sip of coffee, bite of banana. Her eyes tracked the room in a constant scan. Threat assessment, also habit. The laughter from the center table was loud enough to carry. 3 men, Army uniforms. Rank and bearing that said experienced non-coms who'd earned their positions the hard way. The one in the middle was talking, gesturing with his hands. The body language of a natural leader, someone who commanded respect without asking for it. Major Garrett Thorne. Kira recognized him from the roster she'd reviewed yesterday. 40 years old, Army Ranger, multiple combat deployments, 151 confirmed kills as a designated marksman. Bronze Star with valor. The kind of warrior who'd seen the elephant and come back with scars to prove it. He looked like his father. Same jawline, same nose, same intense eyes that missed nothing. The recognition hit Kira like a gut punch. She looked down at her oatmeal, took a breath, centered herself. He didn't know. Couldn't know. Standard KIA letters didn't include those details, just the basics. Died in service to his country. Honorable death. Be proud. They never mentioned the 22-year-old SEAL who'd held his hand, who'd promised to tell him his father's last words, who'd failed. Kira finished her breakfast, cleaned her tray, walked out without looking back. Behind her, Garrett's laughter echoed off the walls. He had no idea that the woman who just left the room had tried to save his father's life 23 years ago. Not yet. Back in her quarters, Kira's phone buzzed, a number she knew by heart. Hey, sweetheart. Mom. Bryn's voice was tight, frustrated. They're at it again. Kira sat on the bunk. What happened? Same thing as always. Women don't belong at West Point, taking slots from real cadets. I outran them on the 5 mile, outshot them at the range. They still don't respect me. Respect isn't given, Bryn. It's earned. And sometimes even when you earn it, they won't give it. So you stop caring about their respect and you start respecting yourself. A pause, then Bryn's voice quieter. Mom, what did you really do in the Navy? Your file says communications specialist, but that's bullshit, isn't it? Kira closed her eyes. Some stories need the right time, sweetheart. When you graduate West Point, I'll tell you everything. Promise, promise. After the call ended, Kira sat in the silence, staring at the notebook, at the notches, at the first entry from 23 years ago. Some promises you kept. Some promises kept you. The next 3 days followed a pattern. 0430 wake. Physical training. 12 miles with a 65-pound ruck. Age 45. Still keeping pace with soldiers half her age. 0700 breakfast. Alone. Always alone. 0800 to 1700 work. Real work. Penetrating the base network security. Finding vulnerabilities. Documenting weaknesses. The job JSOC had actually sent her to do. She found 3 critical flaws in the first week. A firewall misconfiguration that would let a teenager with basic hacking skills access classified material. Radio encryption protocol that was 2 generations out of date. Physical security gaps you could drive a truck through. She documented everything. Filed reports. Sent them up the chain. Nobody thanked her. That was fine. She wasn't here for thanks. 1800 maintenance. Weapons gear uniforms. The ritual that kept her centered. 2200 sleep. 4 hours if she was lucky. 6 if the dream stayed away. They rarely stayed away. And every day she saw Garrett, training his men on the range, leading PT runs, in the chow hall, in the admin building, everywhere. He never looked at her. Why would he? She was just another sailor in a sea of uniforms. Nobody special, nobody worth noticing. That changed on day 4. The range was hot, 108 degrees. The kind of heat that made the air shimmer and turned rifles into branding irons if you touched the wrong part. Kira was standing behind the firing line, observing. Part of her job. Security assessment included training protocols, understanding how the base ran its qualification courses. 50 meters downrange, Garrett was running his squad through close quarters marksmanship. M4 carbines, multiple targets, stress fire. He was good, very good. Smooth transitions, excellent muzzle discipline. The fluid confidence of someone who'd done this 10,000 times in conditions where mistakes meant body bags. His squad was less impressive, young, enthusiastic, but sloppy. Trigger discipline was garbage. Spacing was wrong. They were getting by on youth and aggression instead of skill. Garrett saw it too. Ceasefire, unload and show clear. The soldiers complied, magazines out, bolts back, chamber checks. Sutherland, what did you do wrong? Captain Reed Sutherland looked confused. Sir, I got all my targets. You crossed Patterson's line of fire twice. Do that in Fallujah and someone's going home in a box. Briggs. Yes, sir. Your magazine changes took 4 seconds. Should take 2. Practice until it's muscle memory. Yes, sir. Garrett spotted Kira, his eyes narrowed. He walked over, stopped 3 feet away, close enough to be aggressive without being overtly hostile. Help you with something, Master Chief. Kira met his gaze. Level, professional. Just observing, sir. Part of my duties. Your duties. He looked her up and down, taking measure, making judgments. You shoot. When required, sir. That's not an answer. Yes, sir, I shoot. What's your qualification? Expert. Something flickered in his eyes. Doubt, skepticism. The look of a man who'd just been told something he didn't quite believe. Expert, he repeated. Navy expert or real expert? The insult hung in the air. Kira didn't react. The qualification standards are the same across services, sir. Standards, he snorted. Sure they are. Tell you what, Master Chief, why don't you show us this expertise right now? It wasn't a request, Kira considered. She could refuse, walk away, keep her head down, do her job, stay invisible. But something in Garrett's tone made her pause. That condescension, that certainty that she was less than, that she didn't belong. She'd heard that tone before. In buds, in selection, in 100 different situations where men had looked at her and seen weakness instead of strength. She'd proven them wrong every single time. Yes, sir, she said. I'd be happy to demonstrate. Garrett smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. Outstanding. Sutherland, give the Master Chief your weapon. Reed handed over his M4. Kira checked it with the unconscious efficiency of someone who'd handled rifles since before most of these soldiers were born. Magazine, chamber, safety, sights. Good enough. What's the evolution, sir? 50-meter line, 5 targets, Mozambique drill, 10 seconds. Think you can handle that, Mozambique drill. 2 shots center mass, 1 shot head. 5 targets meant 15 rounds total in 10 seconds. Yes, sir. She stepped to the line. Magazine seated, chambered around, safety off. Garrett stood behind her. On my mark, 3, 2, 1, go. Kira moved. Target 1, 2 center mass, 1 head, smooth transition. Target 2, 2 center mass, 1 head, breath control, trigger discipline. Target 3, 4, 5. The rhythm of it, the mechanical precision, the thing she'd done so many times it wasn't even conscious thought anymore. The rifle went empty. Kira dropped the magazine, reached for the spare on Reed's kit. Tactical reload, smooth, fast, seated the magazine, racked the bolt, ready. Total time, 8.3 seconds. She safed the weapon, turned to Garrett, handed the rifle back to Reed. Satisfied, sir? Garrett was staring downrange. Every target had 2 holes in the chest, 1 in the head, perfect groupings, no misses. Lucky, he said finally. Yes, sir, very lucky. She walked away. Behind her, Reed was whispering to Briggs, did you see that 8 seconds? I've never seen anyone that fast. Major said it was luck. That wasn't luck, Briggs. That was something else. Kira didn't hear the rest. She was already gone. Back to her work. Back to being invisible. But the seed had been planted. Garrett had seen her now, and he didn't like what he saw. Day 7 was the anniversary. 23 years since Operation Iraqi Freedom began. 23 years since Colonel Marcus Thorne had died in Kira's arms. 23 years since she'd made a promise to a dying man. She marked the day in her quarters, alone with Nathaniel's foe and her notebook and the weight of memory that never got lighter. I tried, she whispered to the ghost. I did everything right. It wasn't enough. The ghost didn't answer. They never did. That afternoon, someone dumped coffee on her laptop. Kira had been at her workstation in the Technical Services Building. 3 days of security reports, vulnerability assessments, detailed recommendations for improving base defense protocols, all of it on that laptop. She'd gone to the restroom. 2 minutes, maybe 3. When she came back, the keyboard was dripping. Brown liquid pooling on the desk, the screen flickering. Dying. Damn. She grabbed paper towels, tried to soak up the damage, but it was too late. The laptop was dead. The specialist at the next desk looked over. Oh man, that sucks. What happened? Someone knocked over a coffee. You see who? No. That's really bad timing. Kira looked at him, read the expression, the careful neutrality, the decision not to get involved. He knew something, but he wasn't going to say. Yeah, Kira said, bad timing. She spent that night rewriting 3 days of reports from memory. Every detail, every finding, every recommendation. At 03:15 hours, she was still typing. There was a knock. Kira opened from the door. Command Sergeant Major Frank Callahan stood in the hallway, 62 years old, a prosthetic left leg hidden under his BDUs, gray hair, blue eyes that had seen everything. Gunny, Kira said, surprised. It's 03:1 time. Saw your light on. Figured you were pulling an all-nighter. Brought reinforcements. He held up 2 cups of coffee. She let him in. They sat at her desk, drank in companionable silence. Finally, Callahan spoke. Someone's giving you grief. Nothing I can't handle, Gunny. Kira, he trained you 24 years ago. I know when you're handling something and when something's handling you. Which is it? She sipped her coffee, considered how much to say. Laptop got destroyed today. 3 days of work gone. I'm rebuilding it. Accident? No. You know who? Suspicions? No proof. Callahan nodded slowly. The Ranger Major, Thorne. I've been watching. He's got it in for you. Don't know why, but I know the type. Needs someone to blame, someone to punch down on. Makes him feel bigger. I can handle it, Gunny. I know you can. You're the finest warrior I ever trained, but you don't have to handle it alone. That's what old guys like me are for. Kira looked at him. This man who'd taught her how to swim with 80 pounds of gear, how to shoot in winds that would make a normal person miss by feet, how to survive when surviving seemed impossible. Thank you, Gunny. Don't thank me. Just don't let these kids break you. You've earned better than that. After he left, Kira went back to her reports, but his words stayed with her. You've earned better than that. Had she? Or was this just what the end looked like for warriors who stayed too long, outlived their usefulness, became relics that younger men needed to tear down to prove their own worth? She didn't know. She just kept typing. The memory came without warning. It always did. March 21st, 2003, Operation Iraqi Freedom. Day 1. Kira was 22 years old, barely 2 years out of Bud ES. fresh from selection for DevGru, the ink on her trident still wet enough to smudge. She was lying in the dirt of southern Iraq, rifle pressed into her shoulder, watching a column of Marine Levies roll toward Basra through a scope that cost more than her annual salary. Beside her, gunnery sergeant Frank Callahan was a mountain of calm, 39 years old, 21 years in service, a legend who'd earned his stripes in Grenada and his scars in a dozen conflicts most people would never hear about. "Wind's picking up," Callahan said. His voice was gravel and whiskey and absolute confidence. 4 knots east-southeast. Kira checked her data. Confirmed. Temperature 103, humidity 18%, density altitude 4,200 feet. Good. What's that do to your dope? 3 mils elevation, 2 windage right. Show me. She adjusted her scope, clicked the turrets. The mechanical precision of it centered her. Mathematics didn't lie. Physics didn't care about fear. 200 meters to their left, Army Colonel Marcus Thorne was setting up his radio. Forward air controller, 42 years old, combat veteran with a chest full of ribbons and a reputation for getting the job done. He looked over, gave them a thumbs up. Callahan nodded back. "Good man," he muttered. Colonel Thorne walked over, crouched beside them, pulled out his wallet, showed Kira a photograph. A teenage boy in a baseball uniform. "That's my son Garrett, 17 years old, plays shortstop, wants to join the Army after high school." Kira looked at the photo, saw Thorne's eyes, Thorne's jawline. "He looks like you, sir." "Stubborn like me, too." Thorne smiled, sad, proud. "I tell him to choose a different path, something safer, but he won't listen." He stared at the photo for a long moment, then looked at Kira, really looked at her, seeing her youth, her fear, her determination. "If something happens to me," he said quietly, "you tell him I was proud. Tell him I died doing my job. Tell him to be better than me." "Nothing's going to happen, sir." Thorne smiled. "You're 22 and terrified. I can see it. But you're a professional. You'll be fine. We'll all be fine." He walked back to his position. Kira watched him go. "Gunny, why'd he tell me that?" "Because you got kind eyes, kid. He can see you'll remember." The Marines rolled closer. Then the world exploded. RPGs, mortars, the distinctive crack of AK-47s. The Iraqi Republican Guard counterattack coming from positions intel had sworn were abandoned. Callahan was on the radio instantly. Contact, grid, November, Kilo 847-392. Enemy forces platoon strength." Kira was already firing. "Center mass, breathe, squeeze." The M40A3 barked. 760 meters downrange. An Iraqi soldier dropped. "Breathe, acquire, fire." 189 kills would start here. But first there would be loss. The mortar round landed 15 feet from Colonel Thorne. The concussion wave was visible, a ripple in the air, then dust and smoke, and the high-pitched ringing that meant someone's world had just ended. "Thorne's down." Callahan was moving, rifle slung, running toward the blast crater. Kira was right behind him. Combat autopilot. Don't think, react. The colonel was on his back, eyes wide, mouth open, right leg twisted at an angle that meant the femur was gone. Blood pulsing. Arterial. Bad. Very bad. Kira dropped to her knees, pulled her tourniquet. "Sir, stay with me." His eyes found hers. Focused. He was still here, still present. "Going to die, aren't I?" His voice was surprisingly calm. "Not if I have anything to say about it, sir." She was wrapping the tourniquet, pulling it tight, tighter. The blood flow slowed but didn't stop. Callahan was on the radio. Casevac, grid, November, Kilo 847-392, Cat Alpha. I repeat, Cat Alpha." "Listen." Thorne grabbed Kira's hand. His grip was weak, getting weaker. "My son, Garrett, he's 17. You tell him. Tell him his old man died doing his job. Tell him I was proud of him." "You're going to tell him yourself, sir?" "No." He smiled, actually smiled. "No, I'm not, but you will. You're going to live through this. I can see it. You got that look, the survivor's look." The medevac bird was coming, Black Hawk rotors beating the air, dust everywhere. "Help me move him." Callahan grabbed Thorne's shoulders. Kira took his legs. They ran in a crouch toward the landing zone. 200 meters. Enemy fire snapping overhead. Callahan firing his M4 one-handed while dragging a dying man. Kira trying not to think about the blood soaking through her gloves. They made it, loaded him on board. The crew chief was already working. IV lines, pressure bandages. The controlled chaos of combat medicine. Kira held Thorne's hand. "Stay with me, sir. Stay with me." His eyes locked on hers one last time. "Tell Garrett," he whispered. Then nothing. The crew chief looked at Kira, shook his head. The Black Hawk lifted off. Kira stood in the rotor wash, covered in another man's blood, watched it go. Callahan walked up beside her, put a hand on her shoulder. "You did good, Kira. Everything right. Sometimes it's not enough." That night in her bunk, Kira had opened a new notebook, taken her KA bar, carved the first notch. Not for an enemy kill, for a promise she couldn't keep. She wrote, March 21st, 2003, Colonel Marcus Thorne. "I promised, I failed." 23 years later, that entry still stared at her from the first page. And somewhere on this base, Thorne's son was planning something that would bring it all back. The changing room at Fob Sentinel wasn't much to look at, 20 feet by 15. Concrete block walls painted the color of institutional green. 4 shower stalls, a row of lockers, one security camera mounted in the northeast corner, red light blinking. Recording, always recording. Kira checked her watch, 16:45 hours, late afternoon. Most people were at evening chow. The changing room should be empty. She needed to clean up after a 12-mile ruck. Change from PT gear to duty uniform. Get back to work. Simple routine. Nothing special. She opened her locker, started the ritual. Boots off, socks, PT shirt, each item folded with mechanical precision. Creases sharp, corners square. The meditation of order. The door opened. Major Garrett Thorne walked in. Behind him, Captain Reed Sutherland and Sergeant Liam Briggs. None of them were supposed to be here. This was wrong. Kira could feel it. The way you feel a storm coming before the first drop of rain. She kept folding, didn't look up. Maybe they'd just grab their gear and leave. They didn't leave. Garrett walked closer, stopped 6 feet away, arms crossed. The body language of someone looking for a fight. "Look what we got, boys. The Navy's advisor." Kira didn't respond, just kept folding. PT pants now, precise creases. "I'm talking to you, Master Chief." She stopped, looked up, met his eyes. "I hear you, Major. Do you? Because I've been asking around. Nobody knows what you do here. You're not training anyone, not running missions, just taking up space." "I do my job, Major." "Your job," he laughed, cold, bitter. "And what is your job besides being the Navy's diversity checkbox?" Behind him, Reed shifted uncomfortably. Briggs was watching, silent. Kira's heart rate stayed steady, 62 beats per minute. "Major, you're out of line." "Out of line?" Garrett stepped closer. "You don't want to talk about lines. My father died in Iraq, March 21st, 2003. The date hit Kira like a bullet. March 21st, 2003, Colonel Marcus Thorne. This was his son. The 17-year-old boy from the photograph had grown into this angry man, and he had no idea who she was. "Real warriors," Garrett continued, his voice rising. "Not whatever you are, not some washed-up relic taking up a slot real operators could use." "Major," her voice was still calm, still level. "There's a camera," she pointed. Northeast corner, red light blinking. Sony HDC 2400, recording to central server. Timestamp running, Article 128, aggravated assault. "You sure about this?" Garrett's face was 6 inches from hers now. She could smell the whiskey on his breath, see the bloodshot capillaries in his eyes, read the 20 years of grief and rage pouring out. "I don't give a damn about cameras," he snarled. "I care about useless relics like you taking space from people who matter." He shoved her shoulder, hard, deliberate. Kira absorbed it, didn't stumble, didn't brace, just took the hit. The calm acceptance seemed to enrage him more. "Nothing," he said. "You've got nothing." His hands shot forward, closed around her throat, thumbs on the trachea, fingers on the carotids, 40 pounds of pressure, textbook. Kira's heart rate didn't change, 62 beats per minute. Behind Garrett Reed's eyes went wide. "Major." But Kira was already moving. Her left hand cupped Garrett's right elbow. Control point, her right hand found the pressure point on his left wrist. Radial nerve, exquisite pain if you knew where to press. She pressed, her hips pivoted. 17 degrees, just enough. His forward momentum became his enemy. She redirected, guided, let physics do the work. Garrett stumbled, his grip loosened. His own body betrayed him. He hit locker number 7 with a metallic clang that echoed off concrete walls. Total time 2.3 seconds. Kira adjusted her collar, picked up her duffel bag, walked to the door. She didn't say a word, not one. The door closed behind her with a soft hiss. In the changing room, three men stood in stunned silence. Garrett on his knees, gasping, confusion and rage and the first cold finger of fear touching the base of his spine. Reed staring at the door with something like horror in his eyes. Briggs frozen, processing what he'd just witnessed. Finally, Garrett spoke. His voice was raw. "What the hell was that?" Reed swallowed hard. "Major, that wasn't normal. That was... She attacked me." Garrett stood, unsteady. "You both saw it. She attacked me." "What about the camera?" Briggs asked. "I don't care about the camera. It's three of us against one. They'll believe us." But Reed was still staring at the door, because he'd seen Kiera's eyes during those 2.3 seconds. No fear, no anger, no emotion at all. Just cold, professional, practiced. The eyes of someone who'd done that exact move 1,000 times before, in places where mistakes meant death. "Yeah," Reed said quietly. "Sure, Major. They'll believe us." But he didn't sound convinced, not even a little bit. The rumor started before breakfast. By 0600 hours the next morning, half the base knew that something had happened in changing room B7. The details were vague, contradictory. The fog of war applied to gossip just as much as combat. But the general shape of the story was clear. Master Chief Ashford had snapped, lost it, attacked Major Thorne without provocation. Unstable woman. The diversity hire finally showing her true colors. Kiera heard the whispers in the chow hall. She sat alone at her corner table, back to the wall, oatmeal cooling in front of her, coffee going cold. 3 tables over, a group of young rangers were talking. Not quite loud enough to be confrontational, but loud enough to be heard. "I heard she just went crazy, started screaming. Thorne had to defend himself. Navy's probably going to cover it up. You know how they protect their diversity hires. She shouldn't even be here. This is a ranger base." Kiera took a bite of oatmeal, chewed, swallowed, took a sip of coffee. Her heart rate was 61 beats per minute, 1 beat slower than yesterday. Calm. Across the room, Reed sat with Briggs. Both men were quiet, not participating in the gossip, but not stopping it either. Reed's eyes found Kiera, held for a moment. He looked away first. Guilty conscience, she thought. Good. That means he's still human. She finished her breakfast, cleaned her tray, walked out. The whispers followed her. They always did. At 1100 hours, she got the notification. Email, official. From Lieutenant Colonel James Hartwell, JAG Office, subject formal inquiry. Incident report required to body. Master Chief Ashford, you are hereby notified that a formal complaint has been filed against you, alleging assault and conduct unbecoming. You are required to submit a written statement within 24 hours. Report to my office at 1400 hours today for initial interview. Kiera read it twice. Then she opened her laptop, pulled up the incident report she'd filed at 1710 hours yesterday, 27 minutes after the assault, 19 hours before Garrett's complaint. The timeline told its own story. She forwarded her report to Hartwell, added a single line. My statement was filed at 1710 Zulu, 11 January. All relevant facts are contained therein. I have nothing further to add. Then she went back to work. The command briefing room at 1400 hours was cold, not the temperature. The air conditioning worked fine. This was a different kind of cold. The institutional chill that comes before judgment. Lieutenant Colonel James Hartwell sat behind his desk with 3 screens in front of him and the accumulated weight of 15 years as a JAG officer pressing down on his shoulders. He was 45 years old, former prosecutor, the kind of lawyer who believed in process the way some men believed in God. On the wall behind him hung a photograph, a young woman in Army uniform, captain's bars, bright smile, his eyes, his sister, Captain Catherine Hartwell, assaulted by her commanding officer in 2015. She'd filed a report. It got buried. She got pushed out, medically retired with PTSD that would follow her the rest of her life. That photograph was why James Hartwell became a JAG officer, why he believed the system should work, should protect people, should deliver justice regardless of politics or rank or friendship. He looked at the 2 reports on his screen. Major Garrett Thorne's complaint, filed 0820 hours January 12th, are 3 signatures. Detailed account of Master Chief Ashford attacking him without provocation in changing room B7. Master Chief Kiera Ashford's incident report, filed 1710 hours January 11th. Clinical language. No emotion, just facts. 19 hours earlier. The timeline told a story all by itself. Hartwell picked up his phone. Sergeant, send in Master Chief Ashford. Kira entered his office at attention, service dress blues, every crease perfect, every ribbon aligned, the picture of military bearing. But it was the ribbons that made Hartwell pause. Top row, silver star with one gold star device. 2 awards. That meant 2 separate actions where she'd performed above and beyond under enemy fire at risk of her own life. Second row, bronze star with valor, 5 bronze oak leaf clusters, 5 awards. Third row, purple heart with 1 bronze oak leaf cluster. Wounded twice, continued mission both times. The rows continued. Campaign medals, service ribbons, unit citations. 29 ribbons total, more than most colonels accumulated in 30 years. At ease, Master Chief. Take a seat. She sat, spine straight, hands folded, eyes forward. I've read Major Thorne's complaint, Hartwell said. I've read your incident report. They tell very different stories. Yes, sir. His complaint was filed at 0820 hours this morning. Your report was filed at 1710 hours yesterday, 19 hours earlier. Why? Because that's when the incident occurred, sir. Regulations require immediate reporting of any assault. I filed within 30 minutes. You consider what happened an assault. Major Thorne placed his hands around my throat with sufficient force to restrict breathing and blood flow. That meets the definition of aggravated assault under Article 128 UCMJ. Yes, sir, I consider it an assault. Hartwell leaned back. This woman spoke like a lawyer, precise, clinical, someone who understood exactly what she was doing. Major Thorne claims you attacked him first. That is incorrect, sir. Can you prove it? Yes, sir. Security camera B701 northeast corner of the changing room. Records continuously to server NKDVR07. Timestamp 1647 to 1651 Zulu. The footage will corroborate my account exactly. Hartwell typed something, made a note. You're very certain about these details. I'm trained to observe and document, sir. It's what I do. Yes, as a technical advisor. Hartwell pulled up her file on his screen. 87 pages, 90% redacted. Master Chief, I've been a JAG officer for 15 years. Your service record is the most classified document I've seen in my entire career. Whatever you really do for the Navy, it's not technical advisory work. My orders say otherwise, sir. Your orders are a cover story. We both know it. He closed the file. But that's not my concern right now. My concern is determining what happened in that changing room and whether charges should be filed. I understand, sir. I'm going to request that security footage. I'm going to review it. Then I'm going to make a decision based on evidence. Not on rank, not on service branch, not on gender. Evidence. Are we clear? Crystal clear, sir. Dismissed, Master Chief. She stood, saluted, turned to leave. Ashford. She stopped, looked back. Hartwell gestured to the photograph on his wall. My sister, Captain Kelly Hartwell. She was assaulted by her commanding officer in 2015. She filed a report. It got buried. She got pushed out, medically retired with PTSD. His voice was quiet, controlled, but underneath was steel. I became a JAG officer because of what happened to her, because I believe the system should work, should protect people, should deliver justice regardless of politics or rank or friendship. He met her eyes. I will review the evidence. I will make the right call. I promise you that. Kira nodded once. Thank you, sir. Outside his office, she allowed herself one long breath. The system was working. Maybe. That evening, Kira's phone buzzed. Bryn calling. Mom, someone posted about you online. Some military forum. They're saying a female Master Chief attacked a Ranger Major. Kira sat on her bunk, looked at Nathaniel's photo. Social media isn't evidence, sweetheart. The process will work. Like it worked for all those other women, Mom. You know how this goes. They're going to protect him. They always protect them. I'm not other women, Bryn. A pause, then Bryn's voice smaller, younger. Mom, I'm scared for you. Don't be, trust me. I know what I'm doing. Do you? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you walked into an ambush. Kira smiled, sad, proud. Her daughter was learning. Sometimes the only way to win is to let them think they've won. And then you show them the trap they walked into. Not the other way around. Mom, what did you really do in the Navy? When you graduate West Point, I'll tell you everything. I promise. After the call ended, Kira opened her notebook, stared at the 189 notches, each one a life ended, each one necessary, each one remembered. She turned to a blank page, wrote the date, January 12th, tweeting. Then she wrote, "Some battles you fight with billets, some with evidence. This one is the second kind." The announcement came at 0600 hours the next morning. Base-wide email, mandatory qualification, advanced combat dive course, 1400 hours today. All personnel E7 and above. No exceptions. Report to deep dive facility with full kit. Kira read the notice on her phone, dive qualification. She hadn't done one of those in 3 years, not since her last pre-deployment workup with Red Squadron. Her body remembered, though. Muscle memory didn't fade. It just waited. That morning, she pulled her dive gear from the bottom of her footlocker. Draeger LAR-5 rebreather, the Cadillac of combat diving equipment. No bubbles, no noise. The tool of underwater infiltrators who needed to be invisible. She checked every seal, every valve, every connection. The ritual of maintenance, the meditation through mechanical precision. Behind her, the photograph of Nathaniel watched silently. "Still got it, baby," she whispered. "Still got it." The deep dive facility at Phoebe Sentinel was a testament to military excess and necessity in equal measure. Olympic-sized pool, 25 meters deep, temperature controlled to 58 degrees Fahrenheit, cold enough to induce hypothermia if you weren't careful, warm enough not to kill you immediately. The bottom half of the pool was a maze, pipes, tunnels, obstacles, a simulated ship interior for practicing the kinds of infiltration most people didn't know SEALs did, because most people didn't need to know. Around the pool deck, 40 soldiers in dive gear waited their turn. At the control station, Command Sergeant Major Frank Callahan stood with a clipboard and a stopwatch, and the expression of a man who'd seen 1,000 divers and wasn't impressed by any of them until they impressed him. The evolution was simple in concept, brutal in execution. Navigate 200 meters of underwater maze in pitch darkness, disarm a magnetic training mine, retrieve a 40-pound weight from a flooded compartment. Do it all in under 20 minutes without panicking, dying, or quitting. Most people failed at least one of those requirements. Garrett's team went first. Sergeant Liam Briggs entered the water with enthusiasm and poor technique. Too much splashing, too much wasted energy. Callahan watched the monitor showing Briggs's helmet camera, shook his head. At the 15-meter mark, Briggs hit the tunnel section. Pitch black, tight, claustrophobic. His breathing rate spiked. Visible on the vital signs monitor, heart rate jumping from 90 beats per minute to 145. Panic breathing. At 11 minutes, he surfaced. Failure. Callahan marked it down. Uncontrolled. Next. Captain Reed Sutherland went next. Better technique. Controlled breathing. He made it through the tunnel, reached the mine. The mine was a complex mechanism. 12 steps to disarm. Do them wrong and it locks. Do them right and you get a green light. Reed fumbled. His cold fingers refused to cooperate. The visibility was maybe 6 inches. He was working by feel, by memory, by hope. 5 minutes, 47 seconds later, green light. He retrieved the weight, surfaced. Total time 18 minutes, 12 seconds. Callahan nodded. Functional, barely. Garrett was last of his team. He dove with confidence. Former Ranger, multiple deployments. This wasn't his first time underwater in full kit. He powered through the tunnel. Not elegant, but effective. Brute force and determination. The mine took him 3 minutes, 30 seconds. Aggressive approach, no finesse, but it worked. He retrieved the weight, surfaced. 16 minutes, 54 seconds. Not bad, not great, but passing. Garrett pulled off his mask, looked at Callahan. Beat that. Callahan just stared at him. The look of a man who'd forgotten more about diving than Garrett would ever learn. "We'll see, Major." The morning dragged, diver after diver, times ranging from 15 minutes to outright failures. By 1200 hours, Garrett still had the best time. He was sitting on the pool deck, holding court, his Rangers around him, confident, validated. "Nobody's beating that time," he said. 16:54. That's damn good for this facility. Reed was quiet. He'd been quiet all morning, his mind somewhere else. Finally, at 12:45 hours, Callahan called the last name on his list. "Master Chief Ashford, you're up." Kira walked to the pool edge. Her gear was already checked. Rebreather, mask, fins, the weight belt that brought her total carry to 68 pounds. Around the pool, conversation stopped. Everyone wanted to see this. The crazy female Master Chief who'd supposedly attacked Major Thorne, the diversity hire, the relic, Let's see if she can even make it through the course. Garrett was watching, arms crossed, that smirk on his face, the look of someone waiting for validation. Kira ignored him, ignored all of them. She closed her eyes. 4 seconds in, 7 seconds hold, 8 seconds out. Breath control, heart rate dropping, 62 beats per minute, 61, 60, 58. Callahan walked over, stood close, spoke quietly so only she could hear. Remember Coronado, Kira, you and me. What did I teach you? Water is a friend, Gunny, not an enemy. Show them. She opened her eyes, put in her mouthpiece, checked her mask seal one last time. Then she stepped off the platform. The entry was textbook perfect. Minimal splash, body knife straight, slicing into the water like it was made for her. She disappeared beneath the surface. In the control room, Callahan watched the monitor. Her helmet camera showed the underwater maze appearing in low-light monochrome. Her breathing was visible in the rebreather cycle. Slow, controlled, rhythmic as a heartbeat. She entered the tunnel system. Most divers fought the tunnel, pushed through it, made it an adversary. Kira flowed through it. Her body positioning was horizontal, perfectly streamlined. Minimal drag, she used only her fingertips on the walls, reading the space like Braille. No wasted contact, no unnecessary friction. Callahan leaned closer to the screen. That technique, he'd seen it before. 24 years ago when he'd taught advanced underwater infiltration to a DevGru class that had started with 16 students and graduated 3. Finger walk navigation. The most advanced technique in combat diving, taught only to the elite. The operators who needed to infiltrate harbors and ships without being detected, without leaving a trace. No, he whispered, it can't be. But it was. On the monitor, Kira reached the mine in 6 minutes 30 seconds. Her hands moved over the mechanism with surgical precision. Step 1, Step 2, 3 through 12 without hesitation, without fumbling. 73 seconds start to finish. Callahan's jaw dropped. Reed had taken 5 minutes 47 seconds. Garrett had taken 3 minutes 30. Kira had just done it in 1 minute 13. That wasn't training, that was muscle memory. Years of practice. Combat repetitions in environments where mistakes meant death. She moved to the flooded compartment. The final test. Vertical shaft. 1.2 meters diameter. 8 meters deep. Total darkness. Tight enough to trigger claustrophobia in anyone with sense. Kira inverted. Pulled herself down hand over hand. Her breathing stayed controlled. Her heart rate on the monitor was 64 beats per minute. Slower than most people's resting rate. She secured the weight. Started back up. Halfway up, something went wrong. On the monitor, Reed's vital signs spiked. He was in the water behind Kira. Remedial dive. Second chance after his first marginal pass. His rebreather had failed. Callahan saw it instantly. CO2 buildup. Reed's heart rate jumping to 160. Thrashing, burning through his emergency air. Everything they trained you not to do. Shit, Callahan grabbed the radio. Safety diver, we have a, on the monitor. Kira had already changed course. She'd seen Reed, somehow, through the maze, through the darkness. She'd seen him. She dropped the weight, swam toward him with powerful, efficient strokes. Reed was panicking, pulling at his gear, making it worse. Kira reached him, grabbed his shoulder, made him look at her. Through the camera, Callahan could see her eyes through her mask. Calm, steady, focused. She pulled her regulator from her mouth, put it in Reed's, shared her air. Reed took a breath, then another. His vital signs started to drop. Kira kept her hand on his shoulder. Breathing rhythm, her him. Buddy breathing. 2 people, 1 air supply. In pitch black, at 18 meters depth. Her heart rate never went above 70. She waited. Let Reed calm down. Then she started guiding him up. Controlled ascent, proper decompression, stops. Safe the whole way. They surfaced together. Callahan clicked his stopwatch. 11 minutes 42 seconds. Including the rescue. She'd still beaten everyone else's time. Kira climbed out of the pool, removed her gear with the same methodical precision. She did everything. No celebration, no acknowledgement, just routine. Reed sat on the pool deck, breathing hard, staring at her. He started, couldn't finish. Kira walked past him, stopped, looked back. You're welcome, Captain. Then she was gone. Callahan walked over to Reed. You okay, son? Reed nodded, but his eyes were wet. She saved me. After what we did, she saved me. Yeah, Callahan said. She did. That's what professionals do. Reed put his face in his hands. Oh God, what did we do? Garrett sat frozen on the deck. His face had gone pale. That smirk was gone, because he'd just watched the woman he'd assaulted save the life of the man who'd lied for him, and he was beginning to understand what he'd stepped in. At 1600 hours, Hartwell sat alone in his office. On his screen, the security footage from changing room B7 played for the third time. Timestamp 1647, 15 Zulu. Kira alone, folding uniform with mechanical precision. Timestamp 1647, 42. Garrett Reed Briggs enter. Their body language aggressive. Predatory. Timestamp 1648, 10. Verbal confrontation. Audio clear enough to make out words. Timestamp 1648, 47. Kira's voice. Calm. Warning. Major, there's a camera. Timestamp 1649, 03. Freeze frame. Hartwell stopped the video, zoomed on this frame, enhanced, crystal clear, Garrett's hands around Kira's throat. Thumbs on the trachea, fingers on the carotids, textbook choke position. Kira's face calm, no fear, no anger, just observation. Hartwell played it with audio. Garrett's voice, loud, aggressive. Look what we got, boys, the Navy's advisor. The escalation was clear, Garrett's anger building, his words cutting, then the critical moment. My father died in Iraq, March 21st, 2003. Real warriors, not whatever you are. A pause, then Kira's voice. Still calm, still professional, giving him a way out. Major, there's a camera, red light, northeast corner. It's recording what you're doing right now. You think I care about cameras? You're useless, you're a relic. The sound of the shove, then the assault. Garrett's breathing, harsh, angry, the grip tightening. 2.3 seconds of silence. Then the metallic clang of a body hitting a locker. The video continued, Kira adjusting her collar, picking up her bag, walking out. Not one word. The screen went dark. Hartwell sat back, made notes. The assault was clear, unambiguous. He picked up his desk phone, dialed. Sir, it's Hartwell. I need authorization to unseal a classified personnel file. Master Chief Kira Ashford. He waited. The authorization came through. Hartwell's computer pinged. New file downloading, 87 pages, 90% redacted. But what wasn't redacted told a story. Personnel file, classified top secret SCI, Ashford Kira Marie, Master Chief Petty Officer E9, United States Navy, Unit Naval Special Warfare Development Group, DevGru. The words jumped off the screen. Hartwell sat back, took a breath. DevGru, SEAL Team 6, the unit that didn't officially exist. He kept reading. Operational call sign Wraith. Service dates 2001 to 2021. 21 years. Combat record direct action missions 200 plus. Confirmed kills 189. Hartwell stopped reading. Reread that line. 189 confirmed kills. The woman Garrett had choked had killed 189 enemy combatants. He kept reading. Notable operations redacted, redacted, redacted. But one operation wasn't fully redacted. Operation Iraqi Freedom, March 21st, 2003. Fire Team Bravo 7. Team Lead Gunnery Sergeant Frank Callahan. Sniper Petty Officer Kira Ashford, age 22. Attached Colonel Marcus Thorne, Forward Air Controller. Outcome objective achieved. Multiple enemy KIA. One U.S. KIA Colonel Marcus Thorne. After action notes. Colonel Thorne suffered catastrophic injury from enemy indirect fire. Petty Officer Ashford administered combat first aid and evacuated casualty 200 meters under enemy fire. Colonel Thorne expired in medevac helicopter due to blood loss. Petty Officer Ashford performed all actions per protocol. No fault assigned. Addendum medevac crew recorded Colonel Thorne's last words. Tell my son Garrett I was proud. Tell him I died doing my job. Hartwell stopped breathing. Marcus Thorne, Garrett Thorne's father. Kira Ashford had tried to save Garrett Thorne's father 23 years ago, and Garrett had just assaulted the woman who'd carried his father's body through enemy fire. My God, Hartwell whispered. There was a knock on his door. Come. Captain Reed Sutherland entered. He looked terrible, circles under his eyes, jaw tight. Sir, I need to amend my statement. I need to tell the truth. Hartwell gestured to the chair. Sit down, Captain. Reed sat, took a breath. We lied, sir, all of us. Master Chief Ashford didn't attack anyone. Major Thorne choked her. We watched. Then we made up a story to cover it. Why come forward now? Because she saved my life today, sir. Reed's voice shook. My rebreather failed during the dive. At 18 meters, CO2 buildup. I couldn't breathe. Panic hit like a freight train. His voice cracked. I had maybe 90 seconds before I blacked out. I was thrashing, burning through my air. Everything they teach you not to do. He looked up at Hartwell, eyes wet. Then she was there, out of nowhere. Master Chief Ashford. She grabbed my shoulder, made me look at her. Her eyes were calm, steady. She put her regulator in my mouth, shared her air. A breath. We buddy breathed. Two people, one air supply. In pitch black, 18 meters down. She kept her hand on my shoulder the whole time. Breathing rhythm, her me. Steady, controlled. She calmed me down with nothing but eye contact and discipline. His voice dropped to a whisper. Then she guided me up. Controlled descent. Safe decompression. Got me to the surface. After what we did to her. After we tried to destroy her career. She still saved my life. Hartwell nodded slowly. Made notes. That took courage, Captain. Coming forward. No, sir. What took courage was what she did. I'm just trying to be half the man my father raised me to be. Your amended statement is on record. You understand it will affect your career. I know, sir. I'm prepared for that. Dismissed, Captain. Reed stood, saluted, started to leave. Sutherland. Sir. For what it's worth, your father would be proud. After Reed left, Hartwell sat in the gathering darkness. He had the evidence now. All of it. Security footage, dive performance, Callahan's testimony, Reed's confession, Kira's service record. The picture was complete. Tomorrow there would be a reckoning. Hartwell picked up his phone, called Mitchell. Sir, we need to convene a captain's mast immediately. I have the evidence, and sir, you're going to want to see this. That night, Kira sat in her quarters. The maintenance ritual was complete. Gear cleaned, uniform pressed. Now she sat with her notebook, the leather worn soft, the inside cover marked with 189 notches. She pulled out her pen, made one more mark. Number 190. Not for a kill, for a save. Reed would live, would learn, would become better. That counted for something. She closed the notebook, looked at Nathaniel's photograph. Still getting them home, baby, one way or another. Outside her window, the desert night was cool and clear. Stars overhead, millions of them. Somewhere on this base, Garrett was lying awake, wondering, worrying, starting to understand that he'd made a mistake. Somewhere Reed was writing, explaining, apologizing, finding his conscience again. And in his office, Hartwell was preparing the case that would change everything. Kira turned off her light, lay down in her bunk. Tomorrow would come soon enough. Tomorrow the truth would have its day. Her eyes closed, heart rate dropping, 60 beats per minute, 58, 56. The rhythm of a warrior at peace. At least for tonight. The command briefing room at 0800 hours was arranged like a courtroom. Deliberate, every detail calibrated for maximum psychological impact. At the head of the table sat Brigadier General Robert Mitchell, 58 years old, Gulf War veteran. To his right, Lieutenant Colonel James Hartwell, JAG officer, prosecutor today. To his left, Command Sergeant Major Frank Callahan, witness, observer. On one side sat three men in Class A uniforms. Major Garrett Thorne, Captain Reed Sutherland, Sergeant Liam Briggs. Opposite them sat Master Chief Kira Ashford, service dress blues. The uniform fit perfectly, but it was the ribbons that told the story. Top row, silver star with 1 gold star device, 2 awards. Second row, bronze star with valor, 5 bronze oak leaf clusters, 5 awards. Third row, purple heart with 1 bronze oak leaf cluster, 2 awards. 29 ribbons total. Garrett had 11. The visual contrast was devastating. Mitchell let the silence build. Finally, he spoke. This is a captain's mast, non-judicial hearing under Article 15 Uniform Code of Military Justice. The proceedings are formal. They are recorded. His eyes moved to Garrett. Major Garrett Thorne, you stand accused of assault under Article 128. False official statements under Article 107. Conduct unbecoming an officer under Article 134. How do you plead? Garrett stood, rigid. Not guilty, sir. I acted in self-defense against an unprovoked attack. Noted, Mitchell gestured. Sit. Lieutenant Colonel Hartwell, present your evidence. Hartwell stood, activated the view screen. Sir, on January 12th at 0820 hours, my office received a formal complaint from Major Thorne. However, Master Chief Ashford had already filed an incident report at 1710 hours the previous day, 19 hours before Major Thorne's complaint. The timeline appeared on screen. Sir, one of these reports is provably false. The timeline makes that mathematically certain. Hartwell pulled up the next exhibit. I requested security footage from changing room B7. This footage is unedited, retrieved directly from server NKDVR07. The lights dimmed. The video played. 1647-15 Zulu. Kira alone, folding her uniform. 1647-42. Garrett enters, Reed and Briggs behind him. Aggressive body language. 1648-10. Verbal confrontation. 1647. Kira points to the camera. Warning visible. 1649-03. Freeze frame. Hartwell zoomed, Garrett's hands around Kira's throat, thumbs on trachea, fingers on carotids. In the room, Reed put his face in his hands. Briggs stared at the floor. Now with audio, Hartwell said. The video played again. This time the sound was devastating. Garrett's voice, loud. Look what we got, boys, the Navy's advisor. The escalation was clear. My father died in Iraq, March 21st, 2003. Real warriors, not whatever you are. Then Kira's voice, still calm. Major, there's a camera, recording what you're doing right now. You think I care about cameras? You're useless. You're a relic. The shove, the assault, the grip tightening, 2.3 seconds, the clang of body hitting locker. The screen went dark. The silence was absolute. Mitchell's face was carved from stone. Major Thorne, you told my JAG officer that Master Chief Ashford attacked you. The evidence shows otherwise. Explain. Garrett opened his mouth, closed it. The blood had drained from his face. Sir, she warned you, Mitchell said. Gave you a chance to walk away. You proceeded anyway. That's not provocation. That's premeditation. Hartwell pulled up the next exhibit. Sir, yesterday all parties participated in advanced combat dive qualification. The screen showed comparison data. Briggs 11 minutes failed heart rate, 145 BPM. Reed 18 minutes, 12 seconds past, 82% air, 118 BPM. Garrett 16 minutes, 54 seconds past, 91% air, 11 BPM. Ashford 9 minutes, 47 seconds, exceptional percent air, 64 BPM, plus mid-course rescue of Captain Sutherland. Reed stood without being asked. Sir, permission to speak. Mitchell nodded. Sir, I was drowning. My rebreather malfunctioned at 18 meters. CO2 buildup. I couldn't breathe. Panic hit like a freight train. His voice shook. I had maybe 90 seconds. I was thrashing, burning through my air. Everything wrong. He looked at Kira. Then she was there. Master Chief Ashford. She grabbed my shoulder, made me look at her. Her eyes were calm, steady. A breath. She put her regulator in my mouth, shared her air. We buddy breathed. 2 people, 1 supply. In pitch black, 18 meters down. She kept her hand on my shoulder, breathing with me. Her me, her me. She calmed me down with nothing but eye contact and discipline. His voice dropped. Then she guided me up, controlled, safe. After what we did, she still saved my life. He looked at Garrett. That's not unstable, sir. That's professional. Sit down, Captain. Mitchell looked at Callahan. Gunny, you trained Master Chief Ashford. What can you tell this board? Callahan stood. Sir Kira Ashford graduated Buds Class 234 in 2002, first female to complete the program. I was her primary instructor. His voice was gravel and certainty. In 42 years training special operators, I've seen 4 people dive like she did. All 4 were DevGru, and all 4 were among the best warriors this nation ever produced. He paused. The techniques she used: finger walk navigation, minimal contact propulsion, extended breath hold. Those are taught at Advanced Underwater Sabotage School, the course I helped design. 92% attrition rate. His eyes found Garrett. Sir, that woman has forgotten more about combat than most will ever learn. If she's accused of assault, someone made a catastrophic error in judgment, and it wasn't her. Thank you, Gunny. Mitchell picked up a folder, the classified one. Major Thorne, you called Master Chief Ashford a relic, useless, a diversity hire. He opened the folder, read slowly. Master Chief Kira Marie Ashford, Naval Special Warfare Development Group, DevGru. Garrett's eyes went wide. Mitchell continued. Service dates 2001 to 2021, 21 years. Operational deployments, 11 combat tours, 42 countries, Direct action missions over 200. Confirmed kills 189. The number hung in the air. Decorations, 2 silver stars, 5 bronze stars with valor, 2 purple hearts. Mitchell looked up. Operational call sign Wraith. The silence was crushing. Major Thorne, the woman you assaulted has served longer than you've been in uniform. More combat experience than everyone in this room combined. Wounded twice. Kept fighting. Mitchell's voice dropped. The reason she's quiet is because she's seen things you can't imagine. The reason she's calm is because compared to enemy combatants, you are nothing. Garrett was shaking, but Mitchell wasn't done. He opened a second folder. Older. Major Thorne, your father was Colonel Marcus Thorne. Correct. Garrett's head snapped up. Yes, sir. Killed in action March 21st, 2003. Yes, sir. Did you know Master Chief Ashford was on that mission? The world stopped. Kira sat still, but something flickered in her eyes. Memory. Pain. What? Garrett managed. Mitchell read from the file. Operation Iraqi Freedom, March 21st, 2003. Team Lead Gunnery Sergeant Callahan. Sniper Petty Officer Kira Ashford, age 22. Attached Colonel Marcus Thorne. He looked up. That was her first combat mission. She was 22. Barely qualified. Assigned to protect your father's fire team. Garrett couldn't breathe. At 04:30 hours, Colonel Thorne was struck by enemy fire. Catastrophic injury. Fatal wound. Mitchell's voice softened slightly. Petty Officer Ashford applied tourniquet, combat first aid, then dragged your father 200 meters through enemy fire to medevac, while Callahan provided cover. Garrett's tears fell. Your father died in the helicopter, but Ashford did everything right. Everything. After action, found no fault. She was recommended for Bronze Star. Downgraded due to age and rank. Mitchell pulled out final sheet, handwritten medevac notes. Flight crew recorded your father's last words. Want to know what he said? Garrett nodded, unable to speak. Mitchell read, tell my son Garrett I was proud. Tell him I died doing my job. Tell him to be better than me. Garrett's shoulders shook. 23 years collapsing. That message was delivered via KIA notification. But the details weren't included. Who tried to save him? Who held his hand as he died? Mitchell closed the folder. Major Thorne, you just assaulted the woman who tried to save your father's life. Who carried his body through enemy fire? Who was 22 and terrified and did her job anyway? The silence was complete. Then Kira spoke. For the first time, her voice was quiet, controlled, but underneath was ocean-deep emotion. Major Thorne, he looked at her, eyes red, face destroyed. Your father was a good man, professional, the kind of soldier who inspired confidence just by being present. She paused. When the shrapnel hit, he didn't scream, didn't panic. He looked at me, a 22-year-old kid who'd never seen that much blood, and he said, stay calm, do your job. Her hands folded, knuckles white. I put the tourniquet on, pressure on the wound. Gunny and I carried him to the bird. I held his hand in the helicopter, told him he'd make it. I believed it. A breath. He squeezed my hand, looked at me, said those words about you. Being proud, dying doing his job. Her voice caught, just for a moment. 23 years finding release. I was 22 years old. I didn't know what I was doing. I just did what Gunny taught me. Applied tourniquet, applied pressure, ran through enemy fire because that's what you do. That's the job. She looked down at her hands, the same hands that had held his father's blood. I promised him I'd tell you, that he was proud, that he died doing his job, but I never got to. Standard KIA letters don't include those details. For 23 years, I carried that promise. Failed promise. She looked back at Garrett. So I'm telling you now, your father was proud of you. He died protecting Marines. In his last moments, he wasn't thinking about himself. He was thinking about you. She leaned forward slightly. I'm sorry I couldn't save him, Garrett. I tried. God knows I tried. Every March 21st. What I could have done differently. Where I failed. Her voice hardened just slightly. But your father didn't die because of incompetence. He died because war is ugly and random and cruel. He died protecting Marines. That's honorable. Worthy. What he chose. She sat back. You want to honor him? Stop trying to be him. Be the man he wanted you to become. The officer who brings soldiers home. All of them. Even ones who don't look like you. Even ones you don't understand. A pause. That's what your father would have wanted. The room was silent. Finally, Mitchell spoke. Major Garrett Thorne, you are found guilty of assault under Article 128, false official statement under Article 107, conduct unbecoming under Article 134. Garrett stood, swaying. Normally, I would end your career in disgrace. A pause. However, your father's service record is exemplary. Your own record is solid, and she has asked for leniency. Garrett looked at Kira, shocked. I'm offering you a choice. Choice 1, reduction to captain. 60 days restriction. Staff position. You never command again. Mitchell let that sink. Choice 2, reduction to captain. Transfer to forward deployed combat unit. Afghanistan, Iraq. Wherever we need officers who understand what they did wrong and want to make it right. His eyes bored into Garrett. You deploy, you lead, you bring your people home, prove your father's sacrifice meant something, that his son learned. Garrett straightened, found his voice. Sir, I request combat deployment. I need to earn back my name. His name. Mitchell nodded. Granted, 30 days. And Captain Thorne, when you're out there, remember what your father taught you. Remember what Master Chief Ashford showed you. Bring your people home, all of them. Yes, sir. Captain Sutherland, guilty of false statement. But you came forward, amended, took responsibility. That shows integrity. Reed stood. Reduction to first lieutenant. 30 days restriction, suspended. You're assigned to Master Chief Ashford's technical team. Learn from her. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Sergeant Briggs, guilty of false statement. Reduction to staff sergeant. 60 days restriction, dismissed. Mitchell looked at Kira. Master Chief Ashford, you demonstrated exceptional professionalism under assault. Your conduct reflects great credit. This board finds no fault. You are commended. He paused. And on behalf of the United States military, I apologize you were put in this position. You deserve better. Kira stood, saluted. Thank you, sir. Dismissed, all of you. In the hallway, Garrett stopped Kira. Chief, can I ask something? She turned, waited. My father, in those last minutes, was he in pain? Kira considered. The morphine helped, but yes, he was in pain. He bore it well, like a soldier, like a father who wanted his son proud of how he faced the end. Did he say anything else? Another pause. He talked about you the whole ride. Even fading kept saying your name. Garrett, my boy, my Garrett. She met his eyes. He said you were 17, played baseball, wanted to join Army. He hoped you'd choose different path, safer, but knew you wouldn't because you were stubborn like him. Garrett smiled through tears. I was 17, did play baseball, did join Army. He knew you would, scared but proud anyway. Thank you, Chief, for telling me, for trying to save him, for not hating me after what I did. Kira studied him, this broken man trying to fill his father's boots. Captain Thorne, your father died 23 years ago. You've been carrying his ghost. It's time to let him rest. Honor him by living, not by trying to become him. I don't know how. You start by deploying, by leading, by bringing your team home alive. That's how. She walked away. Behind her, Garrett stood alone, crying, grieving, finally beginning to heal. That afternoon, the entire base assembled. 800 soldiers on parade ground. Sun beating down, temperature 106. General Mitchell stood at podium, Kira at attention behind him. Mitchell didn't use notes. Yesterday, this command held captain's mast. 3 soldiers found guilty of assault and false statements. His voice carried. I want to be crystal clear. This unit is family, but families have standards. Our standard is excellence. He let that hang. We do not prey on our own. Do not mistake quiet competence for weakness. Do not assume because someone doesn't brag they have nothing to be proud of. He gestured to Kira. Master Chief Kira Ashford has served 21 years, deployed to more countries than most can name, seen combat you can't imagine, saved lives you'll never hear about. The formation was motionless. Yesterday, she saved one of her accusers from drowning. After what he did, that's not weakness, that's strength, that's leadership. That's what we aspire to. He paused. That is the standard. A senior NCO in front began to clap, slow, deliberate. Others joined, sound building, spreading, not enthusiastic, but acknowledging. They'd seen the evidence. They knew the truth. Kira stood at attention, eyes forward, but they glistened. 3 weeks later, knock on Kira's door at 1900 hours. She opened it. Standing there was a young woman in civilian clothes, 20 years old, lean, strong, with Kira's eyes and Nathaniel's smile. Bryn, her daughter, grinning. Surprise, Mom. Holiday Liberty. I came to see you. Kira pulled her in to hug, held her, felt tears come, didn't fight them. Baby girl, you're supposed to be at West Point. They gave us 72 hours. I took a bus. Here I am. They sat in Kira's small room, talked, caught up. Eventually, Bryn said, Sergeant Major Callahan called me, told me everything. Kira stiffened. Gunny talks too much. No, he talks exactly enough. Mom, why didn't you tell me about DevGru, what you really did? Because I didn't want you to think you had to follow me. Be like you, Bryn leaned forward. Mom, I want to be like you, not because you're dangerous, because you're good. Her eyes fierce. You save people, tell truth, show mercy even when people don't deserve it. That's what I want to learn. Not shooting, not killing, the integrity. Kira felt something break inside. The wall, the distance, the protection she'd thought Bryn needed. Bryn, this life cost me everything. Your father, my health, pieces of my soul. I know. Bryn took her mother's hands. And you did it anyway. Because it mattered and because someone had to. Because you were capable. She squeezed. I'm not you, won't be you. But I can learn from you, from what you did right, from what you'd do differently. All of it. Kira pulled her daughter close. Let tears fall. For Nathaniel. For lost years. For weight finally shared. Your father would be so proud of you. He'd be proud of you too. For coming back. For finishing what you started. For still being person who saves drowning soldiers even after they hurt you. They sat like that. Mother and daughter. Warrior and heir. Past and future. Finally, Kira stood, went to Foot Locker, pulled out something wrapped in cloth, Nathaniel's combat knife, inscribed, Get everyone home. Your father gave this to me on our wedding day, carried it 10 years, saved his life twice. She held it out. Now it's yours. Bryn took it, reverent, understanding the weight. Mom, this is Dane, and now it's yours, because mission continues, not through me, through you, through every person you lead, every soldier you inspire, every life you protect. Bryn's fingers traced inscription. Get everyone home. What if I can't? What if I fail? Kira cupped her daughter's face. Baby girl, you're in Ashford. We don't have to be perfect. Just show up, do the work, make hard calls. When we fail, we own it. Learn from it. Get better. She smiled, tired but real. That's all anyone can ask. 6 months later, Kira's quarters mostly packed. 18 months almost up. 2 more weeks, terminal leave, civilian life. Teaching scuba diving, Florida Keys. Bryn visiting holidays. Small house near water. Peace, if such thing existed for people like her. She was folding uniforms when email came. From CPT Garrett Thorne, subject, Thank you, Chief Ashford. 6 months Afghanistan, team intact. All present, all accounted. Contact last week, ambush, bad terrain. I remembered what you said, what my father would have wanted. Got my people out, everyone home. Thank you for showing me what that means. Respectfully, CPT, Garrett Thorne, Kira read twice. Save 2 folder labeled, worth it. Another email, from Reed. Chief finished rotation with your team. Learned more 6 months than 4 years West Point. Requesting assignment, Naval Special Warfare Liaison. Want to keep working with professionals. Thank you. Respectfully, 1LT, Reed Sutherland. She smiled, replied, request approved, you'll do fine. Retirement ceremony was small. Just Callahan, Mitchell, Hartwell. Few others who'd earned the right. Mitchell pinned Navy Cross on her chest. The one recommended 2015. Took 8 years to approve. Better late than never, Master Chief. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Callahan hugged her afterward. Tight. Embrace of father who'd watched daughter grow into someone extraordinary. Proud of you, kid. Always have been. Couldn't have done it without you, Gunny. Bullshit. You did it all yourself. I just gave you tools. That night in quarters for last time, Kira opened notebook. Worn leather cover, 190 notches inside. She added one more entry. Mission log, final entry. They called me useless. A relic, a diversity hire. They were wrong. I wasn't useless. I was waiting for mission that mattered. Not mission to kill, mission to teach, to show mercy. To prove strength isn't about violence. It's about choosing not to use it. I came back to finish my time, to be near Bryn, but I stayed for something else, to show one broken soldier his father would be proud, to show one drowning man enemies can become brothers, to show one young woman she can be both strong and kind. 24 years ago, Gunny Callahan told me, "Get everyone home." I thought he meant from combat. Now I know he meant from darkness. Captain Thorne is home, finding his father's honor. Lieutenant Sutherland is home, finding his courage. Bryn is home, finding her purpose. And me, I'm finally home too. Mission complete. Legacy secured. The Wraith can rest. Master Chief Kira Ashford, USN retired. She closed notebook, set it beside Nathaniel's photo. Bryn's graduation picture. Phoenix patch, challenge coin. Outside desert night was cool and clear. Stars overhead, millions of them, eternal. Tomorrow she'd drive away from FOB Sentinel. Away from uniform, away from war, towards something quieter, gentler, earned. She turned off light, lay down one last time in military bunk, heart rate dropping, 58 beats per minute, 56, 54. The rhythm of warrior at peace. Finally, truly, completely. In darkness, she whispered to ghosts, "I kept my promise, Colonel. Told your son. He knows now. He's going to be okay." And to Nathaniel, "I'm coming home, baby. For real this time. No more deployments, no more missions, just us." Finally, her eyes closed. Last thought before sleep. Some promises you kept. Some promises kept you. But best promises were ones that saved lives, that healed wounds, that turned enemies into brothers and grief into purpose. Those were promises worth keeping. Even when it cost everything. Even when nobody was watching. Even when 23 years had passed and world had moved on and forgotten. She remembered. And that was enough. The Wraith faded into darkness. Into peace. Into quiet she'd earned with blood and tears and 190 lives touched. Some saved by bullets. One saved by mercy. All of them counted. And all of them mattered. And as sleep took her, Kira Ashford smiled. Because she was finally truly home. Outside desert wind whispered through Joshua trees. Same wind that had blown across Iraqi sands 23 years ago. Same wind that would blow long after she was gone. But tonight it was just wind, not memory, not guilt, not ghosts, just wind, and a warrior sleeping, at peace.